Welcome to the National Indian Gaming Association's The New Normal weekly webcast series. My name is Ashley Cope, and I am the marketing manager for the Indian Gaming Trade Show and Convention. I just wanted to share a few housekeeping tips before we get started. Everyone is muted by default except for our speakers. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question or chat box and they will be brought up at the end. This session will also be recorded and will be available on our website. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce Victor Rocha, Conference Chairman of the National Indian Gaming Association.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ashley, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victor Rocha. My co-host today, actually my special co-host today is Mary Charlotte Grayson, and this is The New Normal. Welcome. In today's conversation, we're talking to our friends Kathy George, the CEO of FireKeepers Casino and Hotel, and Kimberly Van Amburg, CEO of Casino del Sol, the Casino del Sol Resort in Arizona. And by the way, Kathy's casino is in Michigan. Welcome. How are you ladies doing?
It's great to be here. Thank you. We're doing great.
Yes.
Kathy, welcome. So you know what? First of all, we're not out of the pandemic yet. As a matter of fact, Kathy, I saw, we've been through a lot. The idea of this webcast was to, have a better understanding of what's going on in the industry. Now everyone's opening at different levels, and Navajo's just announced they're finally opening up their casinos. And I read today that, they're still talking about possibly shutting down Michigan and stuff like that. So my point is that we're not even out of this thing yet. We're still in pandemic, even though sometimes I write post-pandemic, but that's really not true. We're still in this thing, and it could go south any minute. But on the positive side of that, you see vaccinations. I think everyone I know has been vaccinated or pretty close to being vaccinated. And I'm not talking just about the Native Americans. I'm talking about my neighbors. I'm talking about my community and stuff like that. So, there's a real sense of, okay, maybe this thing is over, but, we all know that that is not the case right now. But, the purpose of this webcast was, we were thinking about, what's important, how can we really help this conversation? And one of the things that I noticed is when I walk to my casino, there is a lot of jobs that aren't there anymore. When you walk to the valet, there's no one there anymore. I walk by where the buffet was, which probably employed, a bunch of people. I have no idea, but we had a big buffet, and that's gone now. So, and several of our restaurants are still closed. So, there's still a big change in the casinos. Kim, let me ask you this question first. So, tell us about your property and tell us what you're doing during the pandemic.
Yeah, so you raised a few great points there in your intro. I think when you talk about Arizona and Michigan, the circumstances in each state are so different, but we're all still, it's not post-pandemic like you said. So, we've kind of taken a gradual approach to reopening amenities. The governor in Arizona about a month ago did an executive order basically stating, no mask mandates throughout the state. We've chosen to continue the masks because we feel like it's the right thing to do, and are just kind of gradually working toward reopening amenities one by one. We're lucky in that our weather kind of lends itself to outdoor amenities being open year round and the weather being friendly to that. So our golf course has been open for a while. We are in conversation about opening our buffet probably in June, and have been researching different regulations in states where buffets are open that seem to be, effective. And we've opened the pool at the resort, but not the pool at the other hotel. We're planning to start. We had moved slot machines into the conference center when the pandemic started after our first closure to be able to space them out. We're planning to begin moving machines back into the casino with plexiglass starting probably at the end of May. And we envision, although I have to say, with every prediction that we might talk about today, I say it's subject to change, because if things take a turn for the worse, we're going to we're going to reverse course and go back the other way. But the plan at this point is to be return to some level of group business and conferences in the midsummer, and with fingers crossed, and again saying this is subject to change, maybe concerts in September. Arizona has done a pretty good job on the vaccine rollout, and the tribe in particular has done a fantastic job in the vaccine rollout. After a few weeks of offering tribal members vaccines and getting those at highest risk who were tribal members vaccinated, they moved to vaccinating tribal employees and casino employees who are not tribal members. And then recently moved to vaccinating vendors who are on property interacting with team members face-to-face and family members of team members. And so they've just done an incredible job. And so based on talking with the tribe's health director and medical staff, we feel like within our bubble, we've probably reached herd immunity already, which, again, gives you some comfort in terms of, as long as we take it slowly and are methodical about it, we feel safe doing some of these things in the near future.
Yesterday they made an announcement that the Cosmopolitan Casino and Hotel in Las Vegas is telling their employees they have $1 million bonus that they're going to distribute among the employees for everyone that is that's vaccinated. And you're starting to see more of that, and people are starting to realize you have to get your employees vaccinated if you want to keep it safe and stuff like that. So you're seeing more and more of that happening. But I thought yesterday that was really interesting, and especially for Las Vegas, where they have to show that they're doing everything to keep the place safe and like that. Kathy, first of all, welcome. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You have the best smile. You really do. Tell us a little about your property in Michigan. What size are you? I know it's a new property, relatively new, right?
Yeah, we're 11 years in August,
Yeah.
this past August, so relatively new.
Yeah.
And so we reopened in June. While the rest of the state remained closed through the governor, the tribal casinos kind of all talked together, and we opened on June 1st. And, we did, just as everyone else, we have reduced services with no valet and no buffet. But one of the things that we've been able to do with all the protocols that we put into place, it was all about keeping everyone safe, just, no different than anyone else. But I think, we haven't lifted any of our protocols to make sure that we've kept everyone safe. And I think the casino itself, we usually have about 3,000 slot machines with all the spacing. And then we put games into the bingo room since there was no bingo, and the poker room. We're still a little over 2,100 slot machines. So fortunately, and then the occupancy is at 50%. So we abided by some of the governor's rules, even though we, didn't necessarily have to. It was still the right thing to do, social distancing. So we've been able to maintain all the employees, even the ones from the buffet and the valet and poker. We've just redeployed them around the property. And in fact, we continue to hire. We have a job fair again today going on.
Wow.
Trying to place. We still have 100 positions open that we're trying to fill, and then also get ready. We have continued our construction on our second hotel tower throughout this whole past year, and we'll be opening in August. So we're currently hiring to get ready for that as well. So we definitely have the pressure on to bring more people on to, carry the protocols forward to keep everyone safe. As Kimberly mentioned, our tribe, the Nottawasepi Huron Band of the Potawatomi, who are our owners and our leadership group, have taken such great care of our employees and our guests. But with everyone getting the vaccinations, we're over halfway through all the employees, and then we'll start on all the spouses and everything by the end of the month. So with the vaccine, so we're moving ahead. It's all just about keeping people safe. I think one of the things that, as Kimberly mentioned, adding services in, we did start selling meetings. Our food and beverage team and our sales team got together and came up with safe meeting packages and menus and different things. So we have started doing some corporate functions, as well as we are reopening our poker room on May 1st. So right around the corner, so we're getting ready for that. And then we haven't reopened the pool, and concerts is a big question.
I know.
Certainly trying to be respectful of everything. I'm hoping for July. Our first concert is scheduled. We'll make that call as we get a little closer.
Yeah, I was talking to Chairman Rodney Butler yesterday from Foxwoods, and they have a Dave Chappelle concert they're doing. That's going to be 3 days, and it's going to be rapid testing for everyone that's going to go to the concert and stuff like that. So it's real. I think he said it's about 2 or 3 weeks away and stuff like that. So, that's really very progressive, and it's being and aggressive and putting it out there. So during the pandemic, and this question goes to both of you, jump ball, I guess you could call it. So how do you feel? How do you feel the recovery is going for you? Obviously, when I go to my casino, I see it's packed. You know what I mean? I go there on Thursday or Wednesday, and like we've said many times, it felt like the tribal casinos were like the bastion of normality during the middle of the pandemic. It's like it's one place where people could go to feel normal. They could go inside, they could eat, and we've been really, really aggressive with our health and safety. Are you comfortable going forward and bringing in more people in your casino and stuff like that?
Is this where we're supposed to jump?
Yeah, jump ball. I know that's not
Kathy,
fair.
you got
that's
it.
Not fair.
Okay. I think, we have to be progressive. We have to continue to do a little bit better, every day. And, I'm comfortable. I think my team is comfortable, but we need to make sure that we just do it safely. I think as we continue to roll things out, I think, the town, the city, everyone around us is very supportive. I think the business levels have come back to us, and we say, as you said, it's a haven of sorts. People need to have some normalcy, and to get the great level of service that we still strive to provide, even around masks and social distancing. So, we're encouraged, and we're just looking forward to the opportunity to keep opening more.
Right. Kim?
Yeah, so we have closed twice since the pandemic began. We closed in March when everyone closed down, and we closed again in the middle of December. And in the last few weeks, as more and more people, I'm tying it in my mind to more and more people being vaccinated, but in the last few weeks, we've seen people are out. We've had good business levels when we've been open for the past 14 months, but it seems to me that in Arizona, at least, many people have turned the corner who may not have felt safe going out 4 months ago, but they are now. And business levels are good. I attribute some of it, as Kathy was talking about, to the sanitizing and spacing and plexiglass and temperature taking and those kinds of things that we've had in place since we originally reopened, because I feel like we've now, we have 14 months of people coming in and understanding that we enforce the mask mandates. We ask people to space themselves, and we have sanitizer. But, you do see the community as a whole ready to come back and have entertainment and have some normal. And we just want to, like Kathy was talking about, we want to do it, roll it out slowly, and make sure we've got it right before we open that next amenity or allow more people in or what have you.
I think that, obviously it's very important that, while we do that our employees feel safe. One of the things that I've noticed recently, I had a conversation with a gentleman recently, and he was telling me how he's having trouble bringing his employees back. And he's on, he's at 3/4 or half power because of employees. Are you guys experiencing the same issue with employees, and are you getting your old employees coming back?
So
Kathy?
Yeah, we were fortunate when we reopened. I would say 90% of the employees came back right away. And then due to other underlying health issues, a few more stayed out a little bit longer. So we didn't have a problem of them coming back because they know we work for a wonderful tribe who takes great care of them. And so they wanted to come back to work and, help keep supportive of the tribe and the guests. I think that our biggest challenge now is recruiting new people, the people that, as we know, unemployment is up everywhere. Well, everybody has job openings across the country. So I think that's everybody's challenge.
What about you, Kim? Are you experiencing that employment issue that a lot of companies are experiencing?
Yeah, we are. And I would put the return to work question in two separate categories. So when we first reopened after the first closure, we had some employees just not comfortable coming back. They were worried and they didn't feel comfortable. Thankfully, the Pasquayaqui tribe was committed during both of our closures to pay team members while we were closed. Through no fault of their own, the casino they work at was closed. And so I'm amazed at their generosity. But I saw after that first closure, not many, but there were, 20, 30 people who were just not comfortable safety wise. And that was okay. We extended them leave and said, you come back when you're ready. Those people came back. What we've seen in the last couple of months, and it's not just anecdotal. I mean, it's happening with restaurants and hotels in Tucson and in other communities, is we are having trouble filling positions. And I think part of it is the unemployment benefits are good. And to the extent there are some people out there who still don't feel safe, that allows them to comfortably stay home. But in Tucson and throughout Arizona, the service sector positions are just really tough to fill right now. So as business levels are increasing, we find that housekeepers and servers and those types of positions, food and beverage positions, are tougher and tougher to fill. So it's going to be we want to continue to offer excellent service. Well, when staffing is an issue, you've got to work that much harder because you need that staff to provide that service.
Oh, Mary Charlotte, what do you think? What do you think about this?
Well, I thought Kathy brought up a really good point when you said that you moved employees around. I was just curious, what was that process like when you tried? I'm assuming this is a tribal initiative in most of these casinos where you want to keep as many employees on because most of the time these are tribal members. So you want to keep them employed, you want to keep them on the roster. So I just wonder what that process was of shifting those employees around and what percentage did you try to keep on or what percentage remained employed throughout this process?
So for us, our goal was to really retain everybody. We didn't want once we opened and came, by mid-July, we really wanted to make sure everyone was back to work that wanted to work. And we gave them options. Most of the valet became temperature takers or they became sanitizers, on the gaming floor. Our poker dealers became regular dealers. We have some that went to become servers. So really, we gave them an opportunity to really pick the position they wanted. And I think that's what helped it flow a little bit better.
That's great.
I know valet is chomping at the bit, but we're not quite ready for that yet. But I really think allowing them to have a say in what position they went to really helped bring them back.
That's wonderful.
It really brings up one of I feel one of the main questions about this is how has this changed? Actually, let me go back a little further. Yeah, Kathy, how did you start in the industry? Did you start at the bottom too? You're also native too. How did you start?
Sure. Well, I started in the bingo hall on the Seneca on the Cattaraugus Reservation back in high school. And then I, went to Cornell University to their hotel program, hotel administration. And then I just worked every position possible in the hotel. And then I went back to work for the Senecas and worked and learned the gaming side of it. So, I mean, I've done a little bit of every position around the building. So that's how I got started. And I've loved every minute of it. So it's been a great career.
And Kim, same question to you. How did you get into this industry? You know, which by the way, which was traditionally, you know, a male-dominated industry, even as far back as 20 years ago. You know, but yet now we're seeing, you know, both of you are CEOs of good casinos. You know, these are not second-class casinos. You guys are at the top of the game. You know, so Kim, how did you get started?
Well, so this is my third career. I was in the hotel business for a while. I went to law school, and then I came to work at the casino in 2007 as the gaming attorney. Having never worked in a gaming enterprise. And I'll tell you, having been a lawyer, you become accustomed to being in a male-dominated environment. But my first week at the casino in a director's meeting, I thought to myself, no. This is a male-dominated environment. And I don't say that in a bad way. It's just, you know, those were the faces sitting around the table. So I was the attorney for a few years, and then I started taking on departments, operational departments, and one thing led to another, and I was put in place as the CEO, and that was 7 or 8 years ago. And it's been an incredible experience. And I think anybody who has worked in a casino would say this is the most exciting, interesting place to work that there is. I can't think of anything that could compete with it.
Yeah, it's a great thing. So, you know, Kim, if you were starting over again, like you know, just coming out of college and have this opportunity, what would you do? How would you start over again?
I mean, I've enjoyed every aspect of my career. I think the legal training, I wouldn't trade that for anything. You know, if I knew that I was going to end up being a casino CEO, you know, I might have worked for a few years in table games or slots. But at the same time, I believe strongly that, you know, the leadership and management skills exist independently of that technical background. And if you surround yourself with people who are quality people and you're engaged in the business, it's not a detriment. It's just, you know, it's just your background's a little different than the other folks who typically hold that position.
You know, that's one of the things that I love about this industry, you know, which is actually, we were talking about this, you know, I've actually never had a job in a casino, you know, but I'm a tribal member that his tribe has grown a big casino from a little tiny seed. So I've got to have the privilege of being a tribe and watching it grow and from the inside and stuff like that. So my experience also, that's what I love about gaming, is that, you know, you can come from you know, no background whatsoever, but if you have a passion and intensity and you know, drive, you know, you can accomplish a lot in this industry. Kathy, you know, same question goes to you. You know, if you were starting out in this industry, what advice would you give a young woman today that wants to start in this industry?
You know, when I get the opportunity to speak to anybody recruiting or anyone that is looking at it, you know, I kind of say the same thing as Kim. It's about leadership. Go out and learn, because that leadership is what's going to move you and those skills. You can always learn the technical side, but you really have to hone in on that leadership. And you know, I agree with Kimberly. I wouldn't change my path at all, but if I did, I would, you know what, I would probably follow a very similar route. I knew one day I wanted to be a GM of a hotel, so I needed to do every position. I knew then I wanted to go into gaming, so I learned all those different areas. I knew I had to do the time, and so my encouragement and my advice is it's okay to, you know, get your hands dirty and do what you need to do. And does it take time and effort? Absolutely, but it's the most rewarding experience. So, you know, that's my encouragement to everybody is, you know, when they're starting out, is you might not like a particular job in for a moment. It's okay. Take the great things you learn from it and maybe some things you would want to do differently and take it on to the next department. I think by doing that, you just build every skill from communication to organization. And I just encourage everyone to go out and try it, you know, and if you don't like it, in a casino, it's great. You can just go another path. You're
Yep.
not stuck. I mean, there's probably 30 careers or more in this building alone. And so it's a great opportunity to grow and change.
You know, that's actually really quite fascinating that you mentioned that, because it isn't this, you know, you don't just join the casino and I'm going to be a slot, you know, tech or a card dealer. There's actually many more careers involved in this thing. And I think that's one of the beautiful things that tribal gaming has created, all these opportunities, not just for our people, but for our communities. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is that they do provide, you know, living wages to single mothers and women that are out there struggling. And I'm really, really proud of that, you know, that this is something that we can do and something that we all can relate to and stuff like that. So Kim, let me go to you. Do you think the pandemic has changed the career paths that employees, not just women, but employees? You know, it seems like with the opportunities that are being created, that would be the case. But is that what you're seeing? Are the old career paths being stifled, or are new career paths being created?
I think both. You know, for the first few months of the pandemic, you know, we had, you know, buffet closed, hotels at very limited occupancy. So there weren't a lot of new positions being posted. And so certainly for those people who were ready for their next move or looking forward to advancing, I think those opportunities may have been limited during that time period. I think that when you step back and just look at the pandemic as a whole, you know, you see people, and I'm not just talking about in Tucson, Arizona, but throughout the country, you see people being impacted at every level of the career ladder. People at the very top losing their jobs in certain jurisdictions because the business isn't there, to the server, you know, who never returned to work after the casinos closed. And you know that in there are people whose career paths are changed forever. You know, when we were talking before this about, you know, how these changes may impact women in particular, you know, you read the newspapers and you look at the number of jobs lost by women throughout the pandemic. And one figure I saw was 3.7 million. With the, you know, men have lost their jobs too. I don't want to make light of that. But you talk about the working mother and that kind of thing, and the fact that it's service workers and hospitality workers, food and beverage workers that are more prone to losing their job due to the pandemic. And then you look at what we do, and you look at the fact that most of those workers are women, and you see that is having an impact, you know. And so what does that look like in a year? I don't know. I hope that because of all these positive things that we're talking about, that means that some of those women who lost their jobs or who weren't able to return to work because of remote learning, you know, I have older kids, so remote learning is not a problem. I can only imagine if you had a 5-year-old, you know, you can't very well leave that person at home to log on to Zoom and do their classes. But, you know, you hope that the signs in a few months are that some of these people whose careers have been interrupted can get back in the workforce and get on with earning a living to feed their families.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really is a big priority, you know, because, you know, one of the things that you both touched upon, and I really kind of just shot over it, but I wrote it down here, was that loyalty. You know what I mean? We have a real deep sense of loyalty to our employees, and our employees to us too, because we've been through so much together. And I know personally, when I go down to the casino and I talk to our employees, I feel a real connection. And when they find out, you know, that I'm a tribal member or they know me, there's a real bond there. You know, we've been through all this together. We've created something together, something bigger and grander than us too. So, you know, when the ideal behind this webcast was really make sure that those people that have been with this are still safe and there's still opportunities for them, because that's what tribal gaming always represents to me, is opportunity. And I think even through this pandemic, although there's been a lot of change, there's still opportunity being created. And I think that's kind of what this conversation is about. You know, Kathy, so, you know, you talked about job creation, you talked about security, you talked about loyalty and stuff like that. What does the company do to help women in getting education and stuff like that? And, and can we do more? And what can we do?
Sure. I think we can always do more, but I think that, we provide opportunities just like many do of tuition reimbursement and things. But I think one of the things that we have a training track program, and there's 4 different levels of it, and everyone's entitled to come, or they just come on the first level, they apply to the next 3 levels. So we give them realistic on-the-job training in other departments that they want to work in. They have an official mentor program. They go through Dale Carnegie and Franklin Covey. So we really give them some leadership skills and communication skills. And I think it's great to see most of our entire training department is full of women. So that helps some of our younger employees, or even our newer employees, not necessarily younger, understand that there is room, and there's room for them. I think when they can see like people, it helps encourage them. I think that, and the tribe is very supportive of everybody working here and helping them grow. I think from our part, I think it was getting refocused of maybe being more flexible. I talk about for the first 10 years here, we could be very selective and say if you weren't available for any shift any day of the week, they didn't perhaps even get an interview in the first few years. So now we've had to teach our leaders and our department heads and our schedulers that, hey, we're not in that position anymore. So let's be flexible. Let's take that mother, and can we do a 4-hour shift in the evening or in the morning or whatever works for them? So I think we've really helped, or we're working on, we're not there yet, but we're continuing to, just change our paradigm to make sure we're not losing, women or moms or single dads or whoever it is to come into our labor force.
And it always kind of was like that, like a trial by fire. You know what I mean? If you can't work 16 hours straight, then, you're not part of the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've all, you got to do an all-nighter, doubles, and work those, eight tops and stuff like that, So, but I think you're absolutely right. We do have to change, and we do have to be flexible. And granted, we're still running a business, and by the way, not just a business with service, a business with all these touch points and stuff like that. And it brings up an even bigger question. Is like, how do you run a resort in a pandemic? And which is what we've been doing. You know what I mean? And in a way, this has been a trial by fire for you both, by the way. And by the way, let's not acknowledge the fact that Kathy, you were just promoted to CEO, right? Am I correct?
In May, it'll be 4 years.
4 years.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad. Sorry, but
that's okay.
So you again, you started from the bottom, and so as a woman and as a Native American woman, you do see yourself as an inspiration for these younger women also too, I hope.
Oh, absolutely. I wake up every day and I want to make a difference to everybody. But if I can help, especially another woman or another Native, to have that same sense of purpose to keep doing better and to grow, that's a great day for me.
Wow. Hey, Kim, you know what? I kind of want to bring the same question over to you about what kind of internal programs do you have to help young women in the industry rise through the ranks?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to reiterate what Kathy said. Her comment about flexibility in these times is so spot on. In the 2 years ago, if someone couldn't work their swing shift, but due to childcare issues, that could have been handled differently department to department. But we've just tried really hard to, these are different times, and communicate that to directors and managers. These are different times. People may need to change their shifts. We need to be more flexible too, to accommodate that. There are things that we were doing and are continuing to do both prior to and during the pandemic. We have an executive development program. We have a future leadership program, trying to reach people at different stages in their careers and give them both training and exposure to things and mentoring to help them get to that next step. Some things that we're doing specifically related to the pandemic are, obviously, if you're a beverage server, it's difficult for you to work remotely, given the service nature of our business. But there are departments where we can be more flexible. And in doing so, we're also providing spacing within the offices, which is good for everybody. So we've tried to look at it department by department. And if there are things that we can do, leave to take care of childcare issues, work from home a couple days a week on the days that you need to be with your kids to, let them do remote learning. We've tried to implement some of those things as well. And I feel like it's been helpful to a lot of team members in their, struggle to manage their way through, what we've been dealing with the past 14 months.
Wow, and it really has been 14 months too, hasn't it? To the issue of live entertainment, I don't know if it's surprised anyone, but I kind of play guitar. But I've actually have a working band that I've had for the last 20 years at my casino. We play one night a month, and it allows me to validate my guitar collection. But even that coming back is not the same, and all the musicians, the people that relied on the weekend gigs and the ambiance and stuff like that, and it really is kind of missing something. And people go and they want the normality, but having that entertainment and stuff like that, I think is definitely something missing. And by the way, I'd like to reiterate, this isn't just about women. Obviously, everything we're talking about is to men, women, and everyone, and obviously LGBT friendly also and stuff like that too. We have a question here from our friend Ken George Jr. How was the COVID templates created, and who was all involved in setting the reopening and continued health and safety protocols for your properties? Thank you. So that's Ken trying to stir up a little trouble there. Kim, let me get you first.
Okay. So that's a great one. We worked very closely with the tribal council and with the tribe's health department in planning our protocols for reopening. It was collaborative. It was helpful. I feel like we did a lot of great research, but had we not had conversations with the tribe's physicians and health director, we would have missed opportunities to implement some protocols that ended up being very effective. The same thing applies to beginning to reopen amenities. Sure, you could go ahead and just do it on your own, but isn't it better to have input from all the stakeholders into what the right thing is to do? So I've had conversations with tribal council, with the tribe's health director about the issues that we talked about earlier. Group business, moving the machines out of the conference center back into the casino. Concerts, what is the timing for that? The buffet. And it's been collaborative all around. And I think because of that, it's been more robust, more successful. And I think we all feel good about the protocols that we've had in place. And I'm glad that we did it that way. It worked out really great.
Kathy, same question to you.
To really reiterate the same thing Kimberly said, we worked with the tribal health department, our risk department here on property, and had a great deal to do with it. We also did interact with the local health department, even though they don't have jurisdiction here. We thought that it was good to have their buy-in and understanding, and they came and inspected for us. And really, they gave some additional comments as well. So I just think the more people that we could get advice from, we talked to the other tribal casinos right here in Michigan, so that we were all on the same page.
Wow, those are very good and solid answers, because I think it's very important that it is more of a collaborative effort. I'm sure there's places out there that may, I think actually I take that back. I think everyone's been pretty responsible that I've seen across the industry, because everybody takes it very serious. And you can't, you see these other businesses, a restaurant here or a barbershop there or a gym in New Jersey, where they want to be protesting, but we really can't afford that as Native American casinos, because we have to. And listen, since the beginning, we've always had to be a step better, more honest, more transparent, and more regulated than everyone else in the industry too. So this is not surprising, but it seems to be par for course for everything that we've done, which is making sure that we're over the top. Mary Charlotte, what do you think, my friend?
You know what? I also wanted to get a chance to talk about inclusion. That's such a topic right now. That's such an ongoing thing in employment and job sites right now. So I wanted to get each of your take on that. How do you believe your leadership skills in terms of what you're looking at in this male-dominated industry? How do we build inclusion, and how do we include that in terms of tribal organizations? We have a whole different set of cultural relations that we deal with. So I wanted to kind of get their take on that.
I guess I'll jump. I think it does, as you mentioned, it starts, with the support of the tribe, but it also helps drive all of our human resources, policies and activities. I think being an inclusive tribe, as well as just inclusive in our entire community, is important. And, I think that we stress that importance through the recruiting process as well as the hiring process. I think it's very important because we're a very multicultural, multifaceted. Everything about our industry has to be representative of our town and our communities. So I think that's just what we kind of focus on and make sure that everyone, doesn't lose sight of that. Because we have to include everybody, as it's important.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, I think Kathy's point about it being important all the way through the process, from new hires to speaking out to high school students about what career offerings are available at a casino. I think those are all important aspects of making sure that you have the most inclusive workforce possible. And I also agree in that, the community that comes into your casino appreciates, seeing that you have an inclusive workforce. And, I think it's a constant. It has to be a constant in terms of focusing on it. And it can't just be something that you do when you can. I feel really fortunate. We have an HR director, Adam Malloy, who came to work for us April of last year. So when I think about his April, he was in California and he drove across country with his family during a pandemic to move to Tucson. But inclusion is something very important to him, and he's made some recommendations that I think we'll likely adopt to, further advance that.
It's I think this goes a long way to showing how far we've come in tribal gaming too. If I look back, when we opened our casino 27 years ago or something like that, and we started a little modular trailer. Now we're over 1,000 rooms in the resort. But I think the big benefit there is the amount of opportunities that we've created for our tribe and our community. The jobs. And like you say, being inclusive and bringing everyone and having the casino look like your community, and that's what I consider a success. Thank you very much, Mary Charlotte. I thought that was a really good question. So going forward in this pandemic, how do you guys feel going forward, Kathy? How do you feel about this expansion? Obviously, you talked about you were building during a pandemic. These hotel towers don't just pop up by themselves and stuff like that. So how nervous were you during the building of this thing? It must have felt kind of dark at some point during the summer.
I think from that side, I wasn't overly nervous. I think in that my big nervous was I need to make sure our 1,800 employees are taken care of and the 1,500 tribal members are taken care of. That's what I worried about every day during the pandemic. Well, it's still ongoing. I think the construction and the business, I think we're in a unique opportunity in, Southern Michigan to, excel. Our last, hotel has been very well occupied. So we need these extra rooms already. So I think because business is going strong and because of our location, I think we're in a unique situation that it'll do well once we get it open. It's just getting there.
Kim, kind of the same question to you, except everyone's talking about this post-pandemic boom. And like I said, when I go to my casino, I can definitely see it. And when I go to my what they call down Old Town here in Temecula, the stores are packed, the bars are packed, the restaurants are packed. Everyone's just, they're really, you get a sense of this excitement. Is that what you're feeling too? Do you think are you going to be ready for this post-pandemic boom, or are people just talking out of their ears?
I think we are. Again, if things take a turn for the worse in Arizona, I'm going to withdraw that comment, but I think we are. I think one of the things that's so, hopeful is that at the same time we began to see a few weeks ago people coming out, and you see, like you said, the restaurants and shops in town are packed, is that in the last year, one of the parts of my job, and I'm sure Kathy's as well, is you're not just doing the casino CEO job, but you're also the consoler in chief, and you're the counselor when someone approaches you in the back of the house and says, should I be worried about this? Or I went to this event. Was that unsafe to do? And just so much of the interactions with team members over the last year has been, it's a difficult time, and people are struggling, and people are worried. And the thing that's exciting, and I hope it turns out to actually take place, is that in the last couple of weeks, those interactions have been, oh, hi, I got my second vaccine yesterday. I'm really excited about it. And then when you start talking about, I think the buffet is going to open in a few weeks, we're going to start to see more, banquets and events here. So those banquet servers who, like Kathy's property, have been sanitizing machines for the last, 14 months because we're not having any banquets. The sense of hopefulness rather, that you're able to talk with people about and people are feeling, it's exciting to see, because we've all been through, but the team members have been through so much, and it's great to be able to talk with them about something that's forward looking and a bit closer to normal.
Well, and we touched upon this in the very beginning, is that, the special events employs a lot of people, you know what I mean? And the restaurants and the F&B employs a lot of people, and, and especially the conferences and the things that really, we've all built our industry around these businesses to generate revenue and stuff like that. And so now we're having to reevaluate, and I think in one way it's really healthy, because one of the things that we've been talking about is that we were kind of a little top heavy in our business, and that's what happens when you build we went from a casino to a resort, and those are two different things. You know what I mean? That's something and even opening up a hotel and you decide you want another star, that costs a lot of money to get that kind of service, So how do you see this going forward? Are we still going to be able to retain our 4 diamonds and 5 diamonds in this new post-pandemic world, or are we just going to, people are going to be walking through a spritz of sanitizer when they come through our casino and stuff like that, Go ahead, Kim. Let me give you this one.
Yeah, I think we're going to continue spritzing with sanitizer for a period of time. I do think it affects the guest experience, no doubt. One of the things we're doing in the hotel tower is, we're trying to make sure that all the guests in a room are members of the same household, so that we're not having, 12 people in a room and creating kind of a super spreader opportunity. It took a while to get that rolled out, but our guests understand and appreciate it. Again, like the other, things that we've done. I think that for a period of time, the guest experience is going to be different. The masks are going to continue. But can we work our way back? I mean, I see a path forward for that extra star, but I just can't predict. Is it September or November or January? I don't know. I hope it's sooner rather than later, but I don't have that crystal ball.
What do you think, Kathy? Is it gonna be harder to attain those diamonds and those stars for the hotel in this post-pandemic world?
No, I think well, sure, sometimes, but I think as everyone else is there, as Kimberly said, my crystal ball is a little cracked also right now, a little hazy. But I think, yeah, you can still retain the stars or even gain a star. I think because it does come down to that service. And, I think we have to take that extra step to make sure they still see our smile, even though our face is covered, making sure our employees understand you smile with your eyes as well, and going above and just doing that. And I think sometimes it's just a good reminder that we have to use other senses sometimes, or just other techniques that we have not utilized before. And definitely think that you can still get that third star or fourth star or diamond, whatever the case may be. And I know that we're committed to our goal to making sure we do maintain our 4 diamonds. So we will, we're committed to that, and we'll make sure that it happens one way or
Well,
another.
I think it's important because we go to these casinos to escape, and like I said, we've built these resorts, and we've done it so well. So I think it's important that we sustain this and that we continue. But by the way, I said post-pandemic, and I made a mistake. Obviously, we're in the middle of the pandemic too. But I think that's very important that we understand that we can still go forward with the type of quality that we need to make our casinos top notch. And when I started going to Europe 11, 12 years ago, when I saw what the tribes were doing compared to the Europeans, I was like, oh man, it's not even close. We're building these amazing facilities, and these guys are just building little boxes with slot machines. So I think it's something that we become very proud. Now, we don't have much time left, and we have a couple questions, but before I go, let's talk just a little bit about entertainment. Let's just talk a little bit, because I have 2 CEOs right here in the casinos, and from what I'm hearing from my casino also is that they're looking maybe August if they're going to book something. They're looking maybe September. And also I have a lot of friends that are professional musicians, and everyone's chomping at the bit to go back on the road. I know my friends Ben Harper and those guys are getting to go back, and my friends are Steely Dan, Roger Rosenberg, and those guys are just chomping at the bit. But I talked to my friend James Raymond, who is the son of David Crosby. And, Cros is just like, he doesn't even know if he wants to go back on the road again. So, he's older. A lot of these traditional classic acts, these guys are a lot older, and the pandemic took a year out of their lives and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how entertainment's going to come back and what that's going to look like. Unless it's all going to be a bunch of young, boy groups with, strong metabolisms or something. I don't think we're gonna be able to get the old war horses out there. So my question is how, entertainment seems to be the last piece of this puzzle. Don't you think, Kim?
I do. I put opening the bars for just lounging and drinking without a mask, and entertainment as the last piece. And I think one question is, if we assume it's August or September, what does that look like? Is it full occupancy? Is it limited occupancy? Do you give? I think you brought something like this up, Victor, earlier in the call. Do you incentivize those people who've been vaccinated by giving them a little discount on the concert ticket? Just put that out there in the community. Maybe that's something that motivates a few more people to get their vaccine, or do you just really scale it back and do the drive-in style show? And then of course that, raises the issue for a fairly inexpensive show. Maybe that makes sense, but for the high-end shows, cutting the numbers back that much would ensure that you lose money. So I just think there are so many different pieces to it, but I do think August, September looks like the right time frame right now. Again, like you said, with it being the last piece to come back online in some form.
So what about you, Kathy? Are the talent buyers, are you being, overwhelmed by them and all these talent that's out there that's ready to get back on the road? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think the buyers are certainly out and trying to book things, but everyone's with the understanding, who knows what's going to happen and who knows what's going to be allowed. We've moved everyone that we had in 20 to 21, and now we've moved half of them to 22.
Wow.
So, I think everyone is just, it comes back to that word flexible. And as we know how many people we might be able to put in it, how then do we arrange it and keep everyone safe? So we don't have the answers. I'm hoping July, but it's probably more in the fall, but we're going to see how that goes.
Well, for me personally, I had to change my blues name. I was coughing Vic Rocha, but now that, this post-pandemic thing, I'm gonna have to change my name to Vaccinated Vic or something like that, so I can get more gigs and stuff like that. We have a couple questions right here, and one of them I think is really interesting. And I know with my tribe that we did this, but do you track positive COVID cases for casino team members, and how do you track which department has taken on that responsibility? Now, I know for a fact when we do tribal meetings with my tribe, we actually do talk about these numbers, and they do seem to be very minimal. I was actually kind of surprised how small these numbers were. Kathy, let's go with you. How are you guys doing this?
Yes, it's handled through our risk management department in conjunction with the tribal health department. And we just record, everyone that is positive. They conduct the contact tracing, and they keep track of how long people are out for quarantine, whether they've been exposed or positive. So it's all tracked, it's all reported, and it really allows us to keep our finger on the pulse.
Right. I can't imagine running a business without it. Kim, same with you. Same for you for this annoying question. Just kidding.
No, it's a great question. So our assistant director of HR, who is a tribal member, has been the contact tracer since March of last year. We have team members who get tested on site at the casino. We have testing dates and require monthly testing at this point. But also the tribe does testing through its health department. So she has coordinated with the tribe's health department. It sounds like that's what Kathy's done as well. And luckily, I mean, it's great. She's a tribal member. So for her, contact tracing in instances of tribal members is easier because she knows, because she's been with us for so long, well, this person is related. This person who works in bingo is also related to these two people in food and beverage, and they live together. So I know that we need to, contact trace in that direction. So it's been on her shoulders for the entire time. And it's just incredible. The amount of work that she took on and the job that she's done with that. But yeah, it's been a big part of our existence for the last year. Our numbers, you saw them begin to go down drastically January, February, March, and April. And again, it's coinciding with, the availability of the vaccine. That's what the trend looks like to me. So I hope that continues and that we're very close to being out of the woods.
Do you think the spacing will be around for her, and how much longer? Like, I go to the restaurants. Obviously, they're all spaced apart and stuff like that. So it seems like it's going to be here a while, isn't it?
I think so. Yes.
Yep. So, well, you know what? Actually, we have one more. Actually, it's more of a statement from our dear friend Jody Delasio, which is, as a proud member of the Tribal Gaming Protection Network, and on the subject of building our women leaders, I'd like to extend an invite to all women listening to our webcast to our upcoming virtual Women in Tribal Gaming Symposium coming up May 11th and 12th. And there's a link in the chat. I suggest that you click on it now, because once the webcast stops, it will be gone. Our time is almost up. I would really like to thank you. But before I go, let me ask Mary Charlotte. Mary Charlotte, do we have one more question before we go? What do you think?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you all so much. This was very interesting. And I know I've pulled some ideas for our sessions in July. So this was wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And also, I'd like to invite you both to be speakers at NIGA in July. And we will be doing also everything possible to keep it, doing our health and safety standards as high as possible. One of the things that when we talk about concerts, before I go, but in my conversation with Chairman Rodney Butler yesterday, he talked about they have this upcoming Dave Chappelle concert, and they're doing rapid testing for all the people who go and see it. So I believe he said it's going to be over 3 nights and stuff like that. So that's the kind of forward thinking I think that you're going to see that's going to get people back in the casinos, and more importantly, get back into those entertainment, our special event center with our concerts and our conferences and stuff like that. So, we still have a ways to go, but I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And so again, Kimberly Van Amburg, she's the CEO of Casino del Sol Resort. And our dear friend, Kathy George, is also the CEO of the FireKeepers Casino and Hotel. And thank you both so very much. I thought this was a great session and very informative, and I really appreciate your input. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
all.
so much.
And thanks to our viewers too. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.